Hey, it's Gabby, and today I'll be covering what I think the best airgun is from Season 2 of Gabby's Airguns. It's the SDI Duty one made by ASG. So before I begin deducing my way to the STI, let me first discuss what I'm using these airguns for and what qualities do I think make a great airgun. I use airguns primarily for killing mice inside of my family's chicken house. It is a 500-foot building that is full of thousands of mice at one time. I've been using airguns to kill mice for the last 15 years. It's not the only way, but it's definitely the most work-intensive way of killing mice. If you want to see my video where I discuss mouse hunting in more detail, click on the gray card in the corner. For the longest, I used a Daisy Red Ryder. It is a great gun, but it is not the best gun to use for killing the large volume mice I was seeing. So about 3 years ago, I came up with some criteria that I think makes the best chicken farmer's mouse gun. 1, it should be semi-automatic and powered by CO2. 2, it should use cheap magazines that can hold at least 15 BBs. And 3, the gun should be great to use. Finding guns with the first 2 traits is easy, but finding a gun with all 3 traits is difficult, which is why I started to review airguns on my YouTube channel. So far, I've reviewed 23 airguns over the last 2 years, and these 23 guns are divided into 2 seasons. If you want to see the best gun for season 1, click on the gray card in the corner. But now, I'm going to cover why I think the STI Duty 1 is the best airgun of Season 2, starting from the guns I didn't approve, then moving on to the guns I did approve, but didn't choose as the best gun of Season 2. If you want to see the reviews of every gun I'm about to talk about, see the description. If you want to see a Google Doc with the data I collected on each gun, such as the accuracy, the number of shots per CO2 cartridge, see this video's description. Also, consider subscribing to my channel for future content, such as when I get to test these guns inside the chicken house on actual mice.
The first gun I failed was the ASG BP9CC. It is a compact, all-metal blowback pistol. The build is nice, but the gun is not as consistently accurate as I would like. Up next was the Smith&Wesson M&P40. I failed this gun because the trigger was too heavy. When I'm shooting mice in the chicken house, I'm shooting for hours on end, and a heavy trigger can make shooting very painful very quickly. Next is the TDP-45. This gun also has a heavy trigger and narrow grips. This gun was all around very uncomfortable to shoot. Moving on to the last pistol I failed, it was the M45. This gun is very nice and pretty, but it has a very strange trigger that does not favor slow trigger pulls. If you pull the trigger too slow, it will load a BB into the chamber. That would startle me sometimes, and I would reset the trigger. Now I would start pulling again, and it would load another BB into the barrel, and now the gun is firing 2 BBs. But worse than the trigger was the ambidextrous slide safeties. They were placed in the wrong spot, and they would bite my thumb when I shot, making it uncomfortable to shoot the gun over long periods of time. Now I'm going to go over the guns that I passed, but starting out from my least favorite to my most favorite. The first approved gun I'm going to knock out is the HK45. The gun is cool and works well for shooting mice, but in my opinion, overpriced. The gun is $60 and the magazines are $15, which is expensive. There are more enjoyable guns to shoot, which are cheaper. The next approved gun is actually 2 guns, the Mark 45 and the 1911 BB. These 2 guns are essentially the same because they have the same internals, and these guns are the same to another gun from Season 1, the C11. These are great cheap guns, well worth the $35. If I were to hire a bunch of kids to come kill mice on the farm, I would buy a bunch of these guns because they're great workhorse guns. But again, I'm looking for something a little more punchy. Next gun to be taken off the list is the BR-45. If you want a better version of the Mark 45, 1911 BB, and the C11 for the same price, I would get a BR45. It has a better finish and groups a lot better than the Crosman Trio, and it is around the same price. It uses the metal universal magazine as well, whereas the Crosman Trio used the plastic universal magazine. I quite like this gun, but the trigger is a little on the heavy side, and there are better guns on this list, just not at this price point. Next to be taken off the list is the Elite 2. This gun was a sleeper hit. It is a goofy gun that is very top heavy, but it outshoots every other pistol I reviewed, which is very impressive. The gun has a terrible grip, however, that will easily slide off, so you're going to have to duct tape it down. Duct taping the grip, however, would be a pain for me on mouse hunts because I'll probably be running through CO2 cartridges and I'll have to cut the tape and install a new cartridge and do that all night, and that would not be convenient. Last to take off the list is the Glock 19. I was never a Glock fan until I got this airgun, and I was impressed. This gun is fun to shoot, but it only gets 80 shots per cartridge, whereas many other guns on this list get at least 130, 140 shots. Also, the trigger is on the heavy side, which is not enjoyable over long periods of time. So lastly, we have the STI Duty 1, which is my pick for the best gun of Season 2. It is a full-size blowback 1911 that is very cool to shoot. The recoil on this gun is impressive. If you shoot this gun enough, your hands and arms will start to tingle. This gun, out of all the air guns I reviewed in Season 2, reminds me the most of an actual firearm. The only other gun that comes close is the Umarex 9XP, but mine broke on me after a few months of shooting. The Duty 1 has fairly average stats from penetration to accuracy, but overall, it is the most enjoyable to shoot, and that's why I picked it as the best gun of Season 2.
For all my subscribers that followed me through the last 12 weeks and watched my reviews, thank you very much. I know it's not my regular chicken farming content, but I wanted to try something new and grow my channel. In the future, I'm going to be posting some content that you're not expecting. I think it's going to be a pleasant surprise, but expect those videos in December, maybe. You'll see why. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later.